When you get started planning out your trees to put on top of your painted background that you have already created, make sure you think about how you can show that some trees are in the foreground and some are in the background. There's a great worksheet that you can look at. Always start with a vertical line for your tree to show how tall it is first. Trees that are in the foreground should start at the bottom of the paper and go almost all the way to the top. If they're in the middle ground and the background, they're going to start up higher on the paper, and the lines, those vertical lines for the trees, will be shorter. Also use this worksheet to look at the different styles of trees and plan out which trees you want where and how big they are going to be depending on where they are on your paper. Once you have made your plan, start by drawing out your largest tree in the foreground front of your paper. You would start that tree at the bottom and then make sure that it extends all the way to the top. And you could start by just drawing a straight vertical line from the bottom of the paper all the way to the top. Or if you just wanted to make a couple marks like I am doing here, you could go ahead and do that and just kind of block out where that tree is going to be. Now don't do a lot of details. We're going to do a lot of our details when we are painting, but just kind of block out where my tree is going to be. Also notice that I did my tree on the left hand side of my paper as to not block out the moon, and because I had some splatters of paint on my snowy ground that I wanted to cover up. Then when I start to paint, I'm going to use a larger brush to fill in this really big tree quickly. And I'm going to use my black paint to create this silhouette. If you are outlining something, just use the tip of your paintbrush and a small amount of paint. But if you're really filling in a large evergreen tree like this, take big scoops of paint with that large brush to fill it in quickly, and don't worry about it being perfect. Use short, choppy little brush strokes to create texture in that tree. Then when you're ready to move on to your other trees in the middle ground or the background, again, make a vertical line or a couple of guidelines where you know that the bottom of the tree is below the horizon line and the top of the tree should be above the horizon line. And then just go ahead and quickly sketch in where you want that tree or a couple of trees in the background to go. And then go ahead and take the tip of your brush, as these trees will be smaller because they're further away and they seem smaller. We're showing that there's space in between our tree that's in the foreground and the background. So this tree should be smaller. You should be using a little bit less paint and maybe perhaps the tip of your paintbrush. Don't forget that your trees can go off the edge of your paper as well. Then when you are done painting your 2 or possibly 3 trees, then start to use a different paintbrush for your snow. So when you want to start using your snow, you can use the back end of your paintbrush to create some dots in the background to make it look like it is snowing outside. These dots can also go on top of your trees. And then the other thing that you can do is go ahead and start adding little tufts of snow on your trees. After you are done using the back end of your paintbrush, please just make sure that you wipe it off. Then use the other side to kind of brush in areas of snow that might catch on your trees. Your black paint should be starting to dry, but it might not be all the way dry. So when you use that white paint over top of it, use it thick and have kind of a light touch so that the white and black do not mix together, but the white kind of sits on top of it. Notice how I'm just kind of scribbling it in on the layers of this evergreen tree and then starting to add like little piles of snow on top of my tree in the background. Just carefully using the tip of my brush to place that snow in between the V's or the Y's where that snow might sit on a tree. Also possibly just putting it on the side of the tree where the wind might have the snow stick to the tree. When you are done, make sure you wipe off and clean off your brushes and put your artwork on the drying rack. Good luck!